All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're looking at AXISCADES Technologies Ltd.
An Indian multinational engineering and technology solutions company.
Yeah, they just put out their Q2 FY25 results, and we're going to break it all down, what it means for you, the listener.
AXISCADES specializes in some really cool stuff, actually. Yeah. Aerospace, defense, automotive, energy, semiconductors. Pretty much they do it all.
Seriously, they're all over the place.
What's really interesting about AXISCADES is that they're not just dabbling in these sectors. They have a global footprint. Over 20 locations.
Wow.
Employ over 3,100 people.
That's incredible.
But they have this sweet spot, this unique selling point. They're experts in defense technology.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
They're blending deep domain knowledge with a real knack for digital solutions, particularly in defense.
So, a company to watch then. We've got their Q2 results announcement, a detailed financial report to really get into the details, and a really nice investor presentation. AXISCADES has big plans. Especially in the defense sector. So let's see if they're on track, I guess.
So the CEO's message in the Q2 results announcement, he highlights their resilient performance despite some global economic headwinds.
Resilient performance. What does that even mean?
Yeah, so for people who don't really look at financial stuff all the time, resilient performance basically means they did well, even when the overall economy wasn't that great.
So they had, like, weathering the storm.
Exactly, yeah. Let's put some numbers to that resilience. Their sales revenue reached 264 crore. That's about 35 million US dollars.
Okay.
A solid 18% increase compared to the previous quarter. EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, which is just their operating profitability, landed at 33 crore.
Got it.
And Pete, that's profit after tax. The money they actually made came in at 12 crore.
Wow, those are some serious numbers.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what makes that 18% jump in sales revenue so impressive?
Sure. So for businesses like AXISCADES, Q2 is usually a little bit slower because of European plant shutdowns in July and August. So seeing this level of sequential growth, it's a good sign. Suggests that they're managing operations efficiently and making smart decisions even with a challenging global environment.
The investor presentation gets even more into the growth. It's pretty exciting. Aerospace saw 19% year-on-year growth, driven by expanded scope of work with a big European original equipment manufacturer, an OEM for short, and they have new clients in North America and India. And their semiconductor division, 36% jump from last quarter, powered by design revenues and a resurgence of some older revenue streams.
Those are some pretty incredible figures. Really shows how successful AXISCADES is at tapping into those key growth areas. But the real winner here, their defense division had a massive 73% growth compared to last quarter.
73%. Whoa! What's causing that?
So the presentation says this is because of an 84% increase in production revenue, which is from a strong order backlog. Basically, they have a lot of work ready to go, which means strong revenue growth. Remember that goal the CEO had for defense?
To reach 60% of overall revenue in, 12 to 18 months.
Exactly. Seems like that goal is within reach based on this trajectory.
That's great news. But I did notice the reports mentioned some issues in their automotive sector.
Yeah.
Affecting revenue and margins. What's going on there?
Yeah, the automotive industry is facing some tough times right now, affecting companies all over the globe. But here's the thing. Automotive still has the second largest outsourced engineering research and development spend globally.
Really?
Yeah, it's a market with huge potential.
So they're not giving up on automotive just yet?
Not at all. They're being proactive. Instead of freaking out, they're shifting gears within automotive, moving from traditional mechanical solutions to digital and embedded technologies.
Oh, interesting.
Like going from purely mechanical design to using software, sensors, intelligent systems. It's kind of a natural evolution, you know?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And they brought in a new global strategy leader specifically for engineering research and development.
Makes sense.
These are clear signs that they're committed to navigating these challenges and turning this situation around.
That's good, I guess. So there are a few things in these reports that I noticed. The total order book, which is just all the confirmed projects, stands at a solid $89 million. That's a 17% increase from last quarter. And their EBITDA margin is up to 12.4%, which is a significant jump. 400 basis points or 4 percentage points from the last quarter. So they're not just growing, they're getting more profitable too.
Yeah, and these reports don't just list numbers, they give specific examples of how AXISCADES is putting their strategy into action. You know, they've got a strong order intake in defense during Q2, totaling 121 crore.
Wow.
Their project pipeline is looking good too. They have a big naval program that's worth 9 crore that's almost done. The Samudrika project at 18 crore is expected to be delivered in Q3. And phase 1 of the Aridura and Hisar radars production orders worth 30 crore, also on track for Q3. They're busy.
Wow, that's great. And to top it off, their finances are in really good shape. Their net debt of 55 crore is totally offset by cash, bank balances, and liquid investments,
Oh.
adding up to 125 crore.
Right, so that means they have more than enough to cover their debt and have some left over for strategic investments.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This healthy cash position gives them the freedom to invest in future growth, develop new technologies, and even handle any problems that might come up. And as we talked about, that big order book, particularly in defense, really shows a positive revenue outlook. For the coming quarters, it all points to a company doing really well and ready for continued success, but we've only just gotten started.
There's definitely a lot more to unpack here, so stick with us as we continue our deep dive into AXISCADES Technologies Q2 performance. Coming up next, we'll look closer at their defense division, explore their projects, and see how they're positioning themselves in this crazy global landscape. Stay tuned. So before the break, we were talking about AXISCADES and their really impressive Q2 performance, but something you mentioned earlier stood out to me about their unique position in the defense tech world. It's bigger than just India's growing defense industry, isn't it?
You got it. It's really fascinating. AXISCADES isn't just along for the ride with India's defense spending. They're actually shaping it. They're not just like providing engineering services. They're developing these technologies that are really essential for national security.
It's like a pretty big responsibility. Can you give some specific examples?
Of course. Think about their work with radar systems, sonar, electronic warfare. This is like leading edge stuff, and it puts them right in the middle of India's push for self-reliance and defense. The investor presentation actually goes deeper into this. They have a whole section about Mistral Defense, their subsidiary that focuses on these high-tech solutions.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that. It looks like Mistral's doing pretty well. They've got a pretty big order book, 322 crore. That's over 42 million US dollars. In project.
Yeah, and they just added another euro 121 crore in new orders in Q2. But it's not just about the size of the order book. It's the types of projects they're taking on. Take a look at their approved design wins. MPR, DRA, Akash, Ashwini, QRSAM. Those are all advanced missile and radar systems. Super important for India's defense.
So these are projects that could, like, change the balance of power.
Potentially, yeah. And it's more than just missiles and radars. They're working on projects for the Indian Air Force, the Navy, the Army, everything from fighter jets like the Tejas to naval surveillance systems like the Samudrika. They're even working on anti-drone tech.
So they're really doing it all. And the investor presentation mentioned something about a pipeline of design wins, like waiting to go into production, estimated to be worth 800 to 1,000 crore. That's huge.
Yeah, it is. Really highlights that this isn't some short-term thing for AXISCADES. They're setting up for long-term growth in defense. They've even got their eye on upcoming programs like the LCA Mk2 fighter jet and the AEW&C Mk2. That's the Airborne Early Warning and Control System.
So they're becoming like more and more a part of India's defense plans, a vital partner for the government's modernization plans.
For sure. And their expertise in digital engineering gives them a leg up on the competition. They're not just building hardware, They're integrating software, artificial intelligence, advanced algorithms into their defense stuff. That's where the future of defense is headed.
It really seems like AXISCADES is like making all the right moves to capitalize on these trends. But what about the big picture? Globally, things feel a little volatile right now with all the geopolitical stuff happening.
That's a super important question. The geopolitical stuff is impacting defense all over the world, and India is no exception. We're seeing defense spending increase in a lot of countries, which creates opportunities for companies like AXISCADES.
So they're kind of benefiting from the global tension. That's got to be a bit of a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, kind of. But it's not just about like making money from conflict, It's about making sure a country is secure in an uncertain world. That's where AXISCADES becomes really important.
Yeah, it's definitely a complex situation. Potential for growth and new technology, but also global insecurity and all those geopolitical risks.
Definitely a lot to consider. We've been talking a lot about growth, but what about profitability? Are they actually building a sustainable business? Or just chasing numbers? That's where their strong EBITDA margins come in. Remember, they hit 12.4% in Q2,
That's
much
right.
better than the previous quarter.
Right, and their CEO talked about operational efficiency. Seems like it's paying off.
Yeah, for sure. You can see it in the financials. They've managed their costs well, even as they've grown. And they're in a good cash position, remember. So they can invest in the future, in innovation.
Speaking of innovation, the presentation talked about their digital transformation strategy. They're spending a lot on artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics.
Yeah, and for them, it's not just about using the latest buzzwords. They're using these technologies to make real solutions for their clients, like using AI to make aircraft design better, or to develop models that can predict when heavy machinery needs maintenance. They're even using it to make VR simulations for defense training.
So they're not just engineers anymore. They're becoming a digital solutions company.
Exactly. That's what makes them different. They're bridging the gap between deep expertise and those cutting-edge digital technologies.
Sounds like a good plan. But what about, like, risks and challenges? The world is unpredictable, and they're in a competitive field.
You're right. There's always a chance that things could get unstable geopolitically. That could affect defense spending. And there's a lot of competition in this sector. They need to keep innovating, keep being different, to stay ahead, you know?
And we can't forget about talent. They're growing quickly, and they need to find and keep skilled engineers and digital experts. Not easy these days.
You're telling me. Finding and keeping talent is crucial, especially for a company with such big plans, you know?
So even with these challenges, AXISCADES seems ready to face them. They've got a strategy, strong management,
Yeah.
and a history of success.
Right. They've been through tough times before and came out stronger. It's pretty amazing how they've gone from a regular engineering firm to a leader in digital solutions,
Yeah.
especially in defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Shows they're adaptable and forward-thinking. But let's go back to the presentation for a second. There was something about a small drop in headcount compared to the last quarter. What's up with that?
It looks like it's from what they're calling operational optimization. So basically, they've streamlined their workforce to better fit their priorities.
So being smart about how they use their resources.
That's right. And they're really focusing on hiring digital and embedded experts in the next few quarters. Shows they're committed to their digital strategy and getting ready for the future.
That's smart. With tech changing so fast, you got to have the best digital talent to compete.
Exactly. AXISCADES seems to get that. While we're on the topic of strategy, let's talk about their geographic reach for a second. The presentation shows that a lot of their revenue still comes from Europe, even with their efforts to grow in North America and India. Is that a problem?
Yeah, that's something to think about. Europe is still a big market, but the economic outlook isn't so certain.
Especially in automotive, which has been having a rough time with that global chip shortage and supply chain issues.
Right. Makes sense for AXISCADES to get their revenue from different places. Seems like they're doing that. They've got those new clients in North America and India, and they're opening an office in the Middle East.
It's good to hear. Not putting all their eggs in one basket, so to speak. It'll make them more resilient to changes in any one market.
Agreed. Good move for the long term. We've covered a lot, from financials to their strategies in defense and digital transformation. Before we finish part 2, what's the one thing you want listeners to remember about AXISCADES?
I think the key takeaway is this. AXISCADES is in the perfect position to take advantage of some of the biggest trends right now. The rise of digital tech and the need for better defense. They're in two growing sectors at once.
And they're not just watching it happen. They're making it happen.
For sure. They're coming up with new solutions, expanding globally, and building a strong business model. Definitely a company to keep an eye on. But we're not done yet. Stick around as we explore the bigger implications of AXISCADES' success in part 3.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into AXISCADES Technologies. We've gone over their financials, their strategies for defense and digital transformation, and their plans for going global. They're clearly on the up and up. But, you know, their success is kind of a reflection of something bigger, isn't it? Like India's own economic transformation.
You got it. AXISCADES' journey is like a miniature version of India becoming this global hub for tech and innovation. We're seeing a shift from old industries to ones based on knowledge. And companies like AXISCADES are leading the way.
So they're not just a success story. They represent India's growing influence in the global tech scene.
Exactly. And that has some pretty big implications for India's economy and where it stands in the world.
I'm curious, how does AXISCADES' success actually help the Indian economy?
Well, first of all, they're creating jobs, high-skill jobs, not just in engineering, but in data science, AI, software development. Those are the jobs of the future, you
Right.
know?
Right, and they attract top talent
Mm.
from all over India and even from other countries.
Yeah. And those high-paying jobs contribute to a growing middle class,
Hmm.
which leads to more spending and economic growth.
Makes sense.
But it's not just about the jobs. Exascades is helping to build a better tech ecosystem in India. They're working with universities, research institutions, startups to come up with cutting-edge technology.
So they're not just players, they're like building the whole game.
Yeah, I like that. They're encouraging innovation and entrepreneurship, which are crucial for any economy that wants to be competitive nowadays.
India has a lot of young people,
Mm.
and companies like AXISCADES are giving them opportunities
Mm-hmm.
to learn new skills and contribute to the knowledge economy.
Right, it's a cycle. Economic growth leads to more investment in education and technology, which then leads to even more growth.
And that could turn India into a tech superpower.
Exactly.
That's a big idea.
Yeah.
But it seems like AXISCADES is helping make it happen.
They are, and their success is inspiring other companies in India to invest in innovation and think globally. We're seeing a new wave of entrepreneurs in India, confident, tech-savvy, ready to compete.
It's exciting to see India changing, and AXISCADES is right there leading the way.
They are. Their story shows the power of innovation, hard work, and believing in what people can achieve.
Well said. We've talked about a lot, from their financials to their strategies for defense and digital transformation. It's been quite a deep dive.
It has, and it's amazing. They're doing all of this in a world that's constantly changing.
Their ability to adapt and to thrive is inspiring. And their commitment to technology and to India's growth is something we can all learn from.
I agree. Their story reminds us that innovation and growth aren't just about numbers. They're about making a better future for everyone.
And with that, we've come to the end of our deep dive into AXISCADES Technologies.
It's been great exploring with you.
We hope you learned something new. And as always, keep exploring and questioning, and dive deep into anything that sparks your interest.
Until next time, happy learning.